Welcome back. You're watching live from Paris on France 24. It's time now to find out what the French press and the websites are saying today. James Creedon's here with us in the studio.
Good
Hi there,
evening,
James. Now, we've been talking all night about these European leaders all in big trouble, in hot water over the state of their economies, none less than George Papandreou. Boom, that's one down. Silvio Berlusconi, boom, almost gone. He had to go to Facebook today, didn't he?
He
Just
did,
to say he wasn't going
indeed.
anywhere.
It's like the domino effect that everyone is talking about seems to be becoming more and more visible with leaders. But Le Monde, which comes out in the afternoon, it's an afternoon paper, they had a scene on their front page this morning. I think we have a close-up of it. Leaders being, what would you say, being brought down by the euro crisis. And it almost looks like a scene out of a funeral. It looks very funereal indeed. And in their editorial, they're talking about Papandreou, the first victim of that euro crisis, leaving exhausted, flattened after 2 years of incessant battles, says the paper. They talk about how they'll miss the tall, elegant silhouette of Mr. Papandreou. So Le Monde a bit nostalgic after his decision to leave.
And we're just finding out that on Greek television, I know you don't cover that in Media Watch France,
I
but
don't,
on Greek television, they are saying that they have now reached a decision on who the new Prime Minister is. They're not yet telling us who it is.
It's an ever-evolving story.
It is an
But in any case,
story.
as for Mr. Berlusconi, they've a very interesting report, and we can see it on their website here, on the website of Le Monde as well, from Rome, from their Rome correspondent. And essentially what they're saying is, for Silvio, it's very serious. His advisors have been telling him for weeks, it's over, you've got to step down. Even his closest friends have been saying it to him. The title of this article is C'est terminé, Silvio, inutile de t'accrocher. It's over, it's pointless to try to hang on. Those were the words of his finance minister.
Well, they say that, but he has hung on, and he looks
He's
like he
continuing
wants
to hang on. And apparently he wants to stay on, according to this piece, until spring 2013, hobbling into not just next year, but the following year. And so they point out in this article that his very swish summer house, Villa Certosa in Sardinia, leaders were falling over themselves trying to accept invitations to come there until recently. Now they're fleeing those invitations because of...
Straight in the bin.
Exactly, because of what he represents. He was largely ignored at the G20 summit, they say. All he got from Barack Obama was a slap on the shoulder when they crossed paths at the lift in the Carlton Hotel. No bilateral meetings on the sidelines of the summit. So it just... And apparently what one leader said is, look, you really are Italy's main problem right now. What you represent... You're just going to have to go, basically.
All right, well, we'll have to see how that one turns out. But you mentioned the G20, and of course, world leaders were all there talking about how to fix the dreadful state of the economy. We're talking about recession, we're talking about austerity, we're talking about cutting deficits. But there they are, all staying in very swanky, expensive hotel rooms.
There you go. Now, do you know who was talking about that? No surprise there. The Sun in Britain was talking about it. They came out with this last Friday. As world teeters on the brink, can leaders enjoy €1 million euros worth of hospitality? And they go through a list of what each suite cost for each leader. £10,000 for Angela Merkel, Dmitry Medvedev, £30,000. Nicolas Sarkozy, according to The Sun, £32,000 at the Majestic Hotel. Now, Le Poste in France, we have a look here, they picked up on this today. It was the most retweeted article in France this afternoon. Everybody picked up on this. €37,000 a night, except the Elysée has said that this is absolute rubbish. If we have a look at this article here in Le Monde, it's a blog written by one of their senior political correspondents, Arnaud Le Parmentier, and he says that the spin doctor at the Elysée, Franck Louvrier, has totally denied this. He said it was 10 times less. It was about €3,500.
That's all right then,
yeah,
isn't it?
That's only, chicken.
That's what you spend,
chicken
isn't
feed.
it, James?
That'd be my own. Oh, another thing they were saying in Le Poste is that David Cameron, while all the other leaders were spending tens of thousands of euros, David Cameron was slumming it. His suite cost €1,900. Nothing at all. That's just chicken feed in political terms.
Well,
but
I
in any
guess
case,
they all needed a good night's sleep.
they all needed a good night's sleep, but we rang up the Majestic Hotel to try to find out what was going on. And it was quite an interesting conversation because, according to Le Monde, the Elysée spin doctor says, look, yes, there are suites in the hotel that cost €37,000, but Nicolas Sarkozy did not stay in one. Now, when we rang the Majestic, they said, we have no suites that cost that much money. That's not true. So when we said, well, actually, the Elysée spin doctor has said that there are, they changed their story. They said, yes, there are 2 penthouses that cost this much, but Nicolas Sarkozy did not stay in one of them. So it's a bit of a grey zone, but the official line anyway, in any case, is that he did not spend that much. And I think it's fair to say it's highly unlikely that the Elysée would have spent that much in times of austerity.
4 nights? 4 nights?
For one night, per night.
But they stayed there 4 nights, didn't they? So
exactly.
It all adds
So
up,
it would have added
Room
up
service,
to a pretty penny.
Yeah. Pretty expensive. All right. France is one of the only countries in the world that has a celebrity philosopher. You don't have. Do you have any of those in Ireland?
Not really. Not to the same extent in any case.
But they call it BHL.
BHL.
Bernard-Henri
Lévy. Very impressive quiff. If I could maybe with a bit of hairspray try to pull it off myself.
What does he even say?
He has a book coming out on Wednesday. Now, he was instrumental in the Libyan conflict. He, in some ways, convinced me.
Was he flying the planes?
Well, not quite flying the planes, but he did have a little whisper in Nicolas Sarkozy's ear and helped to convince him to get involved. In any case, 5 revelations in this book that have been simplified down on one of these foreign affair blogs. Essentially, France did deliver arms on the ground to rebels as in June and indeed before June. This, of course, wasn't allowed by the UN resolution, which said any help had to be provided only by air. The book also infers that Sarkozy provided Arab-speaking French forces on the ground. French forces also allegedly, according to this book, played a key role on the ground and in the air in the fall of Tripoli. So it's certainly a lot of revelations coming out that
this
weren't.
This is all in his book.
This is all in his book. So certainly it sounds like a page turner for anyone interested in what happened in Libya.
Rather well out of the conflict
Yes,
in Libya,
indeed.
hasn't
He has.
Not
Yes.
for me to
A
say,
new
but
book
anyway.
within months out on the bookshelves this Wednesday.
Okay, great stuff. I'm terribly sorry, James. We haven't
That's all
had
right.
time. We haven't got time for your last story.
Okay, that's all
unfortunately.
right.
But thank you very much indeed, as always, for being with us.
Thank you.
That's it for Media Watch. Now it's time for web news, and we're beginning in China, where subversive artist Ai Weiwei is giving the authorities a run for their money. Once again, take a look.